know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So there's a lot going on. A lot of the Conscious crew members have been sending me like a lot of tea, a lot of things regarding everything going on with, you know, politically. There's a lot of conversation going on around y'all coming Vice President, pending President Kamala Harris and her relationship to former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown. This came up yesterday in our live stream. If you guys did not have an opportunity to check out that live, please do so. It was great. We bear witness to an amazing, melanated, same-gender loving panel of authors, philanthropists, humanitarians, journalists, grassrooters, and organizers who came together to stand in solidarity with Kamala Harris. Also, there were individuals who had worked closely with her as DA and prosecutors who came forward to dispel a lot of the myths and urban legends and a lot of the alleged slander against Miss Kamala. So it was a great panel, and you guys know that she's being backed not only by black men who rose over $1 million to support her campaign within a 24-hour period, courtesy of Roland Martin, but also the collective pushed 81 million within a 48-hour period, which was record-breaking for any presidential candidates run for office. And then on top of that, you guys know we learned that white women came out in the droves to show their asses for Kamala Harris. And you guys know that everybody who wants to work within Trump's administration is speaking out against him and absolutely voting down and away and are not yielding any level of support to his flat orange cheetah tainted ass. Okay, so off to a great run. But you guys know, as you become more popular and sensationalized, things get interesting, things get controversial, people come out from all sides. And Kamala Harris has very little for people to really tug on the wig of. So they're going to have to turn a molehill into a mountain by digging into her personal relationships to individuals like Willie Brown. Okay, now Willie Brown, as I said earlier, is a former San Francisco mayor. And he dated Kamala basically 20 years ago. And he was actually legally married at the time that him and Kamala dated. Even though he was estranged from his wife at the time. Okay, so it was given a Kim Zolciak Big Papa situation. Now, Kamala was like in her late 20s. She was like 29 years old. Willie was like 60, so there was a large age gap. And to a lot of people, optically, it was given what it looks like. Which is, you know, sugar baby, sugar daddy, career-oriented, political-oriented motivations on Kamala's part, okay? He had something to offer her, which is those particular advancements in politics, and she had something to offer him, you know, sweet multiracial puss. Tanika says that if her husband ain't worried about it, then we shouldn't be. It's really good looking. Let me actually pull up an image of Willie Brown. Willie Brown, former mayor of Cali. Now, there's a reason why kind of Be Weary are bringing up her relations. I'm not going to say he's Tyson Beck, but I mean, you know, he's an average-looking black man. Let me see if I can show you guys what really. This is what Kamala was sleeping with. This may convince you actually that the relationship was definitely giving gold digger vibes. That's Willie. That's Big Okay? So, that may actually legitimize the claims that, she was popping that puss, honey. For all the right reasons. Now, once again, she was 29. He was in his 60s at the time, legally married, but estranged from his wife. And he was known to basically, have his wife on one hand and have his girlfriend on the other. So it seemed that, there was no infringing, and that, there was an understanding amongst the harem of women that Willie surrounded himself with, especially during the time that him and his wife were on the outs, okay? I don't care if she humped the whole football team, that part. So what some of her detractors are alleging, because Willie also spoke out and wrote a post for USA Today, which was a semi-chronicle of his experience with her. In his statements, seems like Willie is a little bitter. Not only did he help her to obtain 2 different positions in a, like, 2-party commission situation. Like, she was over some type of a medical assistance commission, and then she was also in charge of the California Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board. And she basically made over $400,000 within a 4-year period, okay? So she was making good dollars, and these were, once again, career positions that Willie Brown himself single-handedly helped to get her, which was, once again, appointing her to 2 state commissions, which allowed her to be appointed as head of the California Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board, and then the Medical Assistance Commissions Board, okay? Now, Willie also went on during his relationship to not only help her to get certain positions within the state of California, particularly San Francisco, but he also brought her a BMW, and it didn't stop there. He also made it known that I didn't just, assist her in her career. I also assisted Nancy Pelosi and Governor Gavin Newsom and Senator Dianne Feinstein and a host of other politicians. So that's kind of the part that her detractors are not really emphasizing, is that, yes, it's easy to, like, surmise that she freaked her way to the top, but considering that Willie also let it be known that he was a friendly guy and he helped a lot of his peers and aspiring politicians that were adjacent to him and that was in his sphere of influence, it seemed that he really would have helped Kamala anyway, whether they was freaking or not, because he the one who made it known that he also did this for a host of other politicians. During this relationship as well, he also allegedly brought her a BMW. Okay, so, big pimpin', honey. Kamala was getting to that HBCU bag, bitch, okay? Talk about some little pumps in the club. Now, Willie went on to conclude his... She had to get to work, period. He went on to basically conclude his sentiments about his experience of dating Kamala almost 20 years ago when he said, and I quote, "The difference is that Harris is the only one out of the host of politicians that he helped to ascend to power and influence. After I helped her, sent word that I would be indicted if I so much as jaywalked while she was District Attorney," Brown wrote. "That's politics for you," and I quote. So I did not get an opportunity to look into that aspect of Willie Brown's situation, but apparently there was some controversy. He might have came under investigation. There was something going on with his own career and what was happening within his career. And whatever he was being subjected to criminally or civilly, Kamala Harris apparently, according to Willie Brown, which he doesn't say he heard this for himself, he just heard it through the grapevine that Kamala said that, look, if he so much as is guilty in any way, shape, or form, I'm going to personally make sure that his ass is, you know, fully prosecuted. And I'm like kind of surprised that people are actually shook or find that inappropriate, because the people who are criticizing her are also claiming to be like these moral, high-grounded people who are looking for sincere politicians and leaders, etc. But what they don't realize that they are inadvertently, indirectly actually communicating in an attempt to smear Kamala Harris is that they would have preferred her as someone who was benefiting from proximity to Willie Brown, who was advancing her career, who had given her a BMW, who was doing all of these favorable things for her, that she should have in return traded out her principles and her commitment to ensure the safety of the American people by actually holding corruption accountable, including corruption within her own house. Speaking truth to power. And Kamala wasn't going to make an exception out of Willie Brown just because he was eating that box and he was advancing her career. That actually makes me respect her even more, and actually, for me, implies that Kamala actually had a sense of integrity, that she wasn't going to conflate her personal relationship with giving him immunity if he was actually found guilty or in wrong standing regarding whatever this investigation, this looming pending investigation was around him being mayor. That's really respectable. Now, a lot of people, because they're idiots, will conflate two different situations. They think she's equally wrong for possibly having slept her way or used Willie Brown to advance her career, while at the same time would have been willing to prosecute him as DA if he was found guilty. But the difference between Willie Brown possibly being found liable for any criminal negligence or wrongdoing and Kamala essentially gold digging and career advancing herself through sleeping with him is that that's not illegal. Like, it's not illegal to be a fucking gold digger. It's not illegal to have ulterior motives and to align yourself with the things that you believe can benefit you as it relates to your agenda. You can make a moral argument, but I think it's a false equivalency to try to equate Kamala's moral disposition, sleeping with this legally separated man and getting all of these perks from him, while at the same time being very clear that she would do her job if he was found guilty. Like, the fuck? And once again, the people that are like trying to use this as a way to paint Kamala as some like snake ass weirdo who can't be trusted and slept her way to the top are also the same commentators and influencers and speakers who are trying to claim that they are seeking integral candidacy. But I don't see a problem here. I mean, in a patriarchy, what do you expect women to do? They only have two choices, really. In a male-dominated world, women can either play the game and use men according to the way that men are willing to be used in order to access resources that they would have had independent access to if it wasn't for living in a man-made world, or they can fight against the machine. They can fight against, you know, and go to war with the status quo and the powers that be. And you see those two parties of women's community in the world. There are the women who are the India Aries and the Michelle Obamas who are like, look, I'm going to use my brains and I'm going to stand on my square and I'm not going to give in and I'm going to, you know, work my ass off to do so. And then you have the Cardi B's and the Megan Thee Stallions who are like, I'm going to pop puss and give these low vibrational ninjas what they want, and we're going to play them at their own game. And if we have to go through them to get to the resources, then we will. So you have that. So you have two different attitudes of don't give in, don't bow down. Let's go to war and see where it gets us. And then you have the other attitude: if you can't beat them, then join them. I'm encouraged. Kamala did what she needed to do, which there's nothing wrong. Everybody has their limits. And if Kamala was willing to do certain things because she had a bigger vision and she felt called to a bigger agenda, and she didn't mind sleeping with Willie Brown and being one of his concubines in his harem, then I mean, like, so be it. Once again, that's not illegal. Both of them are within their right to trick off on each other. Both of them are within their right to have a transactional relationship. I mean, it's kind of no different, really, in principle, than the people that go to work every day to do a job they can't stand for a boss they fucking hate. And in exchange for you being willing to be miserable 8 hours out of the day, 5 days out of the week, you are cut a check that you appreciate or don't appreciate. But nonetheless, there is a give and take, and there is a mutuality in that relationship. What's going on, Kev C? So, I mean, people do this every day in various ways. And Kamala was willing to, once again, throw that HBCU puss all over Willie Brown and to get what she needed to get, and it wasn't illegal to do so. And I'm glad that she did not get digmatized and or wasn't going to grant him any immunity if he would have been found criminally liable for anything. She understood her social responsibility and she was willing to do her fucking job, and she had emotional intelligence enough to know the difference between I'm liking this man, I enjoy this man, and we got a good thing going. However, if he breaks the fucking law, and I am a woman of the law, I'm a woman of the cloth, I am not going to make the exception for him. I don't give a damn if he brought me a UFO, a BMW, if he took me to Paris and fucked me on the Eiffel Tower. If he breaks that fucking law and I'm a woman of the law, I am going to hold him fully fucking accountable. But you have people trying to distort that. It's weird. Shout out to fucking Kamala. I wish more people actually, because I think this is a perfect way to play the game, if you ask me. Like, this is a perfect game plan. Like, don't do nothing illegal. Do whatever you feel comfortable doing to advance your life, and be very clear about your personal morals and ethics, and don't compromise those things. And if you feel okay with being creative about the rest, then so be it. I also want to say that since Kamala is running for president, there's a good percentage of the black and brown community who seems to be very unsure about Kamala. They didn't have an opportunity to know her as VP because obviously when you're playing VP, you're playing background. So oftentimes you don't get to see as much publicity about a vice president because all of that is allocated toward the president. So rightfully so, there are people who have questions. There are people who really don't know what she's really bringing to the table. There's also, because of her being VP and not being front and center, a lot of other people controlled her narrative. So there's a lot of conspiracy around her time as DA and prosecutor. And so now she's in a situation where she may be the president, and all of these concerns and all of these uncertainties are coming to the forefront. Kamala has 4 months to essentially make all of her campaigning and any possible debates that she's going to participate in, which, as I said yesterday in the live stream, I think that even if Donald Trump's fat ass is willing to backpedal because he's shook now and knows that he cannot compete against an intellectual, know that he can't compete against a woman who has a really clean bill of health, metaphorically speaking, as it relates to her time as VP. You know, he knows that he'll be grasping for straws in a debate. He knows that she'll spin the block with him. He knows that, you know, that vitality of hers is going to get the best of his 78-year-old ass. So he's not interested anymore, apparently. But I think that Kamala still should do the debate and allow the public, Anderson Cooper, and whomever his host is going to be, to still ask her questions that are poignant to her possibly being president, what policies she stands on, what her vision is, what her project 2025 looks like, etc., and give the American people the opportunity to really familiarize themselves with her work and with her coming work. So I think she still should do the debate. But there's also this like fringe group that seems to want Kamala to kind of be a devil. And I can see some sprinkles of like black gatekeeping that's unconsciously coming up in us. A lot of black people who feel very unsafe with biracial and multiracial people, who feel like biracial people or multiracial people like Kamala Harris only uses her black card when it's convenient and to pander, etc. Which I heard that too and initially thought that as well. However, this woman graduated from Howard University. She is a big HBCU alumni. She currently funnels a lot of money and forwards a lot of education as it relates to HBCU. She actually decriminalized marijuana possession, nonviolent offenses, which we know disproportionately impacts our black and brown community. So she was actually trying to take the edge off, while there's a false narrative that she was over sentencing, over incarcerating. She was holding black men captive long beyond their release dates, etc. That she had black men serving 20, 15 years for petty, nonviolent marijuana offenses. And I'm not going to say that that didn't happen at all, but definitely by the time that Kamala became DA, I believe, she had really made intentional strides to kind of maybe undo some of what she was dilly-dabbling in, maybe as a result of not being evolved yet, not being completely educated on how that type of sentencing was really messing up the community. But she made intentional strides to undo a lot of that buffoonery. And she was going out of her way to decriminalize this, to lessen sentences, to take nonviolent offenses out of the felony category into the misdemeanor category. And she was also supporting initiatives so that those communities of people who had once been overly policed, overly sentenced, could have a fair shot at getting jobs and employment, etc. Because we all know that ex-felons and ex-cons and having a felony on your record, you know, reduces you to a Dollar General employee. Like, your job opportunities are very stifled, etc. She obviously took all of this into consideration, and she led a movement decriminalizing nonviolent offenses, and actually got her backlash. Her fellow Californians, or whatever the hell you want to call Cali folk, they felt a way about this. Actually, they wanted they wanted black and brown people to be over sentenced. They wanted theft and burglary and drug possession charges to be felony. So it's just interesting to me how, like, you really can't win for losing, because had she kept that same energy, then the black people of today who are saying, hey, she's not for us, not with us, she was doing the black community in, would have legitimately had a proper claim to that in her attempt to stay committed to her California base. But then as a result of her being a bit more progressive and seeing what the trickle-down effect was, is that we can't have people being over-penalized for nonviolent offenses and then also expect that in classifying these nonviolent offenses as felonies, that these people are going to be able to return to their lives and have a shot at restoring their lives, when we know that's not the case if they're classified as felons for petty drug possession charges and petty theft, etc. But because there's such a poverty issue and a theft issue in California, the California public didn't give a damn. You know, I mean, they don't care. They do want the crime to stop, and their resolve to stopping crime is, the more harsher the sentencing, the more harsher the penalties, then obviously this should lead to a lessening of crime. Well, that also has not panned out as well. We know that prison does not reform people. It does not rehabilitate people. And most offenders are right back in jail and prison and back in the damn system a year, like within a year's worth of time, because the prison system does not emphasize rehabilitation. So prison isn't helping either. Over sentencing people isn't helping either. And prison, honestly, is just another cell block. It's just another street corner. Surviving prison is no different than surviving Crenshaw and surviving the ghettos and the hoods of America and surviving Compton. These men are sexually exploited in prison. These men are forced into free labor. These men are able to funnel drugs into the prison system and out of the prison system. And these men oftentimes are having to hustle every day in prison the way that they have had to navigate their lives outside of prison, on the streets. There literally is no different. I have friends who are cadets and military and who work within the prison system, and they give me the ins and outs every damn day. And they have yet to effectively distinguish the life of a prisoner from the life of an everyday free thug. There is no difference in lifestyle. No difference. These men are having to bargain while they're in prison, sell honey buns in exchange for crack. You have employees who are in alignment with the criminals in prison, and they're doing their fair share of being transactional and bringing in drugs and making transactions on behalf of prisoners. I mean, it's a whole mess. It's a whole damn mess. So this is all interesting to me. So the slut shaming going on with Kamala. And then all of these like people claiming that they want, you know, quality leadership, having such a stick up their ass when it comes to Kamala that they too are willing to ultimately be hypocrites. Because here's the big thing. There may be a lot of things that can be said about Kamala. My question is, what's the other option? What? Because there ain't and won't be no conversations that are going to yield any grace to Trump. I would rather have a pussy popper who fucked her way to the top and who, as VP, has not locked up a plethora of black men. As VP, has not over-incarcerated black people. As VP, like, it's interesting that everybody is, like, going back to 20 years ago and 15 years ago and 10 years ago. And the woman spent 4 years also pro-woman, pro-maternal health, pro-reproductive rights, pro-LGBT, pro-health of the planet, pro-go green. What has she done as VP that has turned you off? Because if you've looked into her work as VP, all of that work I can stand by. All of that work is necessary, whether it's her work in the LGBT community or her work in black women's reproductive and rights to bodily autonomy, or her work within protecting our fucking planet, which capitalism is unaliving every single day. Like we're going to have to live on the damn moon and colonize Mars if we don't get into a better collaborative relationship to Mother Earth. Like her work in HBCU and in education for Black and brown people, it's like, I don't understand. Like, if as VP, all these things could be said about her. Oh, she's over incarcerating, she's over sentencing, she's over policing, she's da 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 da. Fair. But that ain't been Kamala Harris in a long time, if ever, really, because her peers and the people who has worked within her camps are stating also otherwise. And I haven't seen anyone bring any black and white objectivity to these slanderous claims. Yes, they keep being uttered. People keep echoing them. But I have not seen no black and white. But I haven't seen anybody who has, like, bust out with the paperwork to show these things that are being said about Kamala and her time as DA and prosecutor to be true. I've learned a lot about what's not true about Kamala just within the last 24 hours. And I'm so glad that I have educated myself, because initially when her and Joe came into the picture, I heard a lot of these same rumor millings as well, and I had assumed them to probably be true. I just didn't really think much of it because I'm not really a political-based person any goddamn way. And if you really ask me, all politicians are really ultimately full of shit. So, you know, I mean, I was just like, whatever. But now that we're in this situation we're in, I've had to, like, do a, like, master course and a master study class, you know, a Kamala Harris for Dummies run through. And I haven't found anything in those deep dives or in those run throughs that legitimize the slanderous claims against her. If anything, I found the complete and utterly opposite. So, right now, still pro Kamala Harris and her ascending to power through using her sweet puss partially to do so. It's not uncommon. It's no different than what any stripper is doing, any OnlyFans model is doing, or any woman who plays up her assets in a patriarchal system in order to navigate that system is doing. I don't hold Kamala Harris to any different of a standard than I would any other woman. Hell, I am pro-woman getting the best of these ninjas and playing them at their own game. I don't give a damn. You know, long as you're doing something that you're comfortable doing and it's not breaking the damn law, like, do you. And if you want to use your titties and your cleavage, and you want to use your BBL and your ass, and you want to use your sex, and you want to use your sex appeal and your beauty in a man-made world that created all of those social equities, I mean, that's kind of the point of them being social equities to begin with. Like, that's the point of pretty privilege. That's the point of sex selling. And if there's, once again, people who are comfortable yielding to those things to navigate this system, I'm not mad at that. You know, to me, those are survival mechanisms. And I think in an ideal world, nobody should have to do that. But even in an ideal world where people wouldn't have to do that, there would still be women and men using their sex appeal to navigate the world, because it's just easier to do so. A lot of gold diggers enjoy gold digging. A lot of sugar babies enjoy sugar babying. It's an easier lifestyle. They would rather just have to look good and use their assets in order to get the same access to luxury and convenience and lifestyle that somebody's slaving away for somebody's corporation. Some people, that math don't math. Like, why would I go to college and accumulate a lot of debt and then fight my way tooth and nail in a racist, sexist, transphobic, homophobic, queerphobic, xenophobic ass fucking system to get access to something I can get access to just by being a good looking bitch, just by sleeping with the right man, just by sleeping with the right women, just by getting in the gym and placating to those beauty standard systems, and poof, I'm number one Hot 100 on the Billboard. I mean, that's some people's math, and I'm not mad at it. I don't really give a damn what people do in order to get ahead. Kamala popped puss in order to get into a position to change the world ultimately. So she made the sacrifices she obviously felt comfortable with in order to be in the position that she's in right now, which is possibly, you know, the head bitch in the Oval Office. So she obviously played the game very strategically and very effectively, because she's now in the running for fucking president. And that's a lot more than what a lot of other people can say who have played the game contrary, and who tried to play the game the same way, but were not as effective. It's giving a little bit of jealousy to me. It's giving a little bit of like, people are feeling a way that Kamala effectively utilized her brains, her beauty, and her puss in order to self-liberate, and then convert self-liberation into a larger incentive to liberate the collective of the people. There seems to be a lot of people who don't want to admit that they're feel away. You know, winners are not always celebrated. She played the game, and it has paid off. But if you really want to know who Kamala is, you need to just do your fair share of research, and you can start by subscribing to Consciouztv on YouTube. The link is in the bio. And look at my live stream. An entire panel was hosted of people who were laying down the facts of Kamala's life. And we're going to have to go out of our way to properly inform ourselves, especially with this particular election, because we know that the other side, who is being led by the master liar, the master narcissist, the master manipulator himself, is going to specialize in lying about this woman, slut-shaming this woman. He's already out of the gate calling her dumb as rocks, when Donald Trump is the least qualified candidate for presidency out of all of the presidents. He was the least qualified president out of all of the presidents. He has no real substantive ties to politics, and yet he was allowed to be president because he took advantage of the Electoral College, because even the majority of Americans were not disillusioned enough to put this idiot and this personality behind the will of the country. And him and his camp are going to do everything they need to do in order to shrink Kamala Harris. They know that they have to go up against her education. They have to go up against her experience. They're going up a lot. Trump doesn't have a lot of the same claims to politics. He doesn't have a lot of claims to the experience like Kamala has. So they're going to have to really turn a lot of molehills into mountains. They're going to have to distort her past. They're going to have to distort her record and her history as DA, as prosecutor. And once again, we need to transcend myth. If the people who are echoing that Kamala did all of this disastrous shit to black and brown people, make them produce the facts. We're going to need the fact checks. We're going to need the receipts, because I'm tired of hearing it uttered. And they're pulling up the receipts about everything else. They're pulling up, oh, she slept with Willie Brown. Oh, she did oh, she did that. Oh, she did that. Oh, she did that. But nobody, once again, is really asserting the black and white as it relates to these claims about her track record as prosecutor and DA. Okay? So if we know that the other party isn't going to be interested in disseminating truth and fact-checking, then we are going to have to do it ourselves. As a matter of fact, while I'm here, before I close, I found an article that actually fact-checked some of the Kamala Harris mythology. What's going on, Jonathan? That part, the math ain't math. And when it comes to how many actual black men she convicted, it's weird. And you guys heart this video, heart it up, child. You know, heart it up. Get me into this IG algorithm. Gria. Hold on, I want to put up this article. I think I sent it to myself. Okay, here it is. This is a thank you guys. I love you guys so much. We're going to be going live as well because obviously a lot of people were like asking me about Trump and his desire to get rid of the elections and to be y'all's former dictator. He obviously would be going for that because Trump is just as old as Biden and probably has only about a good 3-4 years left his damn self. Which is why I really don't even know why he would want to even run for a lifetime, girl. Like, there's like 15 more minutes on your damn life energy, on your chi, girl. Like, the fuck? Like, you could actually croak before we even get to November. But this is according to the time. Oh, no, I'm not reading all this on IG Live. But there's a fact-checking article that we're going to go over later. We're going to also be going into whether Trump has, you know, actual constitutional authority and power to actually unalive the election concept and to hold Oval Office for a lifetime. There is one way he could do that, but it would not apply to Trump in this case. It would actually apply to the VP. But we'll go over those details. But this article is the announcements that Vice President Kamala Harris will seek the Democratic nomination for president is inspiring a wave of false claims about her eligibility and her background. Some first emerged years ago, while others only surfaced after President Joe's decision to end his bid for a second term. Okay, and it's a pretty exhaustive list that goes to a plethora of things about her background, about her blackness, about whether she's a natural born citizen. You guys know Obama was like vetted this way and put through the goddamn ringer. Her relationship to Montel Williams, the TV host. Fabricated quote attributed to Harris is spreading online 5 years after it first surfaced. A video showing Harris saying in a speech that today is today and yesterday was today yesterday, tomorrow will be today tomorrow, so live today so the future today will be as the past today as it is tomorrow. Ooh, that's goofy, girl. Okay, it's a lot of weird shit. Okay, well, we're going to be going through that list or whatever. So you guys have your notification bells all set. I hope once Trump loses, he let this go. If he doesn't, I'm sure another Thomas Matthew Crooks will help to motivate his ass to let it go. Did you see the ad with the Obamas endorsing her? Yes, we played that yesterday. You must have missed yesterday's live, Tanika. Yeah, we played her ad and everything. Beautiful, gorgeous ads. Her using Beyonce's song. And yeah, I saw the video of the obviously planned and strategized conversation between Kamala and the Obamas. You guys know initially people were like, what's going on with Obama? He's not really backing her. He was definitely pro Joe, sit your ass down and step the hell down. But he didn't endorse Kamala initially. But there's obviously been conversations. And I think the Obamas have seen the onslaught of support for Kamala. Just following a day after her nomination. So I think that Barack particularly now feels comfortable believing that Kamala can actually compete and she could beat Trump. It was speculated that Obama probably believed that Kamala could actually run the country, but could she beat Trump was the question. And I don't think he wanted to endorse that and was open to like a fair election where other candidates could be vetted and considered so that they could get the best person in the race who could beat and compete with Trump. But now that Kamala has proved herself, you know, not even after a whole day, they're in the building now and they are endorsing her, and now it's Kamala versus Trump. And I just want to know, like, what are the other options if you're not voting for Kamala because she is a race baiter or she's insincere or she's a fake ass bitch or she panders or she did all of this mythological shit during her time as DA and prosecutor, blah, 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 blah. I feel like, honestly, if you're arguing any of that, knowing that at this point, there is no other person, like, your vote should go to one or the other at this point. There's not even any point in voting for people on the ballot who you know are not going to be competitors. Like, it's going to come down to Kamala, and it's going to come down to Trump. And if you have all this to say about Kamala, then to me, you're just defaulting to Trump. If you're not voting for Kamala, you're defaulting to Trump. If you're voting down, you're voting for Trump. If you're not voting at all, you're voting for Trump. Even his own cabinet members, his previous ex-cabinet members who are not fucking with him, they're still going to be voting Republican. They're just not supporting Trump. But as far as I'm concerned, I mean, that could benefit Kamala's side. But it also benefits Trump. Like, I think clear, distinguished decision-making need to be made. And I think that people need to put their vote where it matters. And I don't really know what else is being offered alternatively for all the people who are talking shit about Kamala and not wanting to vote for her, who are Dems or moderates or whatever the fuck they want to call themselves. Because really, honestly, we all know it's either her or it's this convicted felon. It's either her or this man who has a pending lawsuit against him from a 13-year-old girl alleging that him and Jeffrey Epstein, his best friend, raped her at 13 years of age. Like, there's either Kamala or this criminal who's running for his second term in office. And I haven't heard anything, even by Kamala's detractors, that make her look worse than Trump. Okay? Like, if you're gonna argue it, damn it. Okay? But even with her allegedly sleeping her way to the top, and her alleged time as DA and prosecutor, not her time as VP, but her time before that time, and before that time, like, I still ain't heard Kamala and nothing in her past that equates her to Trump, to a man who was found guilty of 41 felonies, to a man who is and has a well-known relationship to Jeffrey Epstein and to Epstein Island, and who is on his flight logs, who was on again, off again, the phone, through text messages, etc., who's being accused of rape and ex-trafficking minor folk. So as far as I'm concerned, girl, like, the battle has already been won alone. But if there's some people who feel like with everything they could argue and say about Kamala, that Trump is the alternative, then I think that makes you really fucking delusional as fuck. Like, really fucking delusional. Like, you're really out of your fucking mind. And I'm concerned. And you need a 5150. And I want a government-sanctioned psych eval on these people who think that everything they've said so far should, for some reason, balance out the conversation between whether it's going to be her or him. There's nothing that can be said about her that makes Trump make sense as a candidate, ever. Like, Trump should not even exist as a candidate simply because of fucking Trump. I wonder if Kennedy will stay in the race. We'll see. They have 3-4 months. People are going to be running for all type of other reasons. People who probably don't even care to be president, but who just want the publicity from it, want to further their visibility, bring attention to whatever their political contributions and agendas are. So it's going to be a lot of folk just in the race, you know, for other reasons aside from presidency. Delusional and possibly just as diabolical. Oh, guys, so weird. It's so weird. Rumors and tea is so weird. What's going on, pretty chick? So weird. But we're going to get into all of it. I don't know what time I'm going to go live, but I'm about to get up and get myself situated. I'll figure it out. I just wanted to come through and talk to you guys. Feeling really good. Had a great night's rest. And I'll see you all later. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Somebody said they're on shadow ban on YouTube. I don't know if that's the case or not. Probably is, because we've been using a lot of assassination language in talking about like what's been coming up in the news. So maybe YouTube did censor me. I don't fucking know. But keep your notifications on. Check the page manually, even when you don't get notified, because YouTube is trash. And yeah, we'll keep the conversations going. And then we obviously have to get into the mess at some point. So we're going to be getting some updates on Miss Netta and Charles and Tia Kemp, Rick Ross, Big Tooth, Baby Mama, girls. They've been dragging each other down boots. There's a lot of things going on in the hot topic celebrity world. So we're going to be doing our fair share of catching up on all of that as well, to continue to make the channel and the platform very balanced. All right. I love you all. Hey, JT, what's going on? Bill. Hey, Kimmy, anything better than the Antichrist? Baby, talk about it, honey. Talk all about it, child. But I'll see y'all later. Peace.